Now joining us in the studio tonight to talk about those stories is our guest, the sports commentator, Ade Olajide. Ade, let's start with football and the huge game in the Premier League. Chelsea beating Manchester United, a hard-fought victory, 1-0. A moment of brilliance by Eden Hazard sealed the game. Chelsea 10 points in the clear. Is that the Premier League title done and dusted?
Absolutely. Today's match was probably the most important for Jose Mourinho and his team. First of all, for confidence, they have played a little bit badly over the last couple of weeks. However, still managed to win 3 points in very important matches. A lot of people have seen the rise with Manchester United having 6 straight wins. Perhaps could have thrown a little bit of, just a little bit of difference into the competition up top there with a win at Stamford Bridge today, but they couldn't do that. And Jose Mourinho is probably the best at closing out a title than anybody else in the Premier League.
Yeah, he certainly knows how to win titles. Why do you think we're not seeing the same free-flowing Chelsea that we saw earlier on in the season? This is Chelsea limping over the finishing line, isn't it?
Absolutely. First of all, they've lost their striker, Diego Costa, to a hamstring problem over the last couple of weeks. And apart from that, the players, some of the players have run out of steam. We can talk about the likes of Fabregas and of course, Jose Mourinho as well. He's notorious for changing tactics during the season, during matches. Now he's gone for a very, very strong defensive team than an all-attacking side. And with an Eden Hazard in the team, he can afford to do that.
Let's give some credit to Manchester United. They did put in a really good performance, despite, you know, a huge depleted team. No Michael Carrick, no Phil Jones. Was there further evidence in that game that United next season will be title contenders?
Obviously, yes. 70% of the possession at a time, they were completely dominant over Chelsea. I think about 15 chances, more corners than Chelsea did at home at Stamford Bridge. It shows that the confidence within the team has definitely grown. Now they're starting to take into what Louis van Gaal has tried to impose on the team from the beginning of the season. So looking towards next season, all they need perhaps is 1 or 2 more players, and the team will be complete.
And Van Gaal gave an interview after the game. He seemed extremely angry, not just with the reporter, but also with what happened in the game. Is that just sheer frustration in the sense that they came pretty close to beating Chelsea today?
Absolutely. Sheer frustration, for one. He mentioned the fact that Chelsea had just 1 shot on target at the time when they scored, and that was probably a little bit earlier than they did play in QPR. And second of all, he was also not happy with the fact that Falcao was obviously fouled in the middle of the pitch, which led to the goal by Chelsea. So he wasn't happy about a couple of things. Having dominated Chelsea the way they did, he was definitely disappointed. He wasn't ready for that interview. That's what I said.
Yes. Let's turn to the other huge game in English football today. That was at the FA Cup at Wembley. Arsenal through to the FA Cup final, although they were pushed all the way by Reading. 2-1, 2 goals by Alexis Sanchez, the winner coming in extra time. Were you surprised at how Arsenal were pushed in that game?
They were pushed because you can, if you look at Reading, a championship side that have been struggling over the last couple of weeks. They're 19th in the league, in the Championship League at the moment. The semi-finals of the FA Cup is what a massive incentive to play against Arsenal. So they outfought Arsenal. They were very, very inspired, coming in, equalising in the first half as well, gave them a little bit more just to fight at Arsenal. But Arsenal still, with the criticism that's been levelled against them over the last couple of years, the fact that they still could hold on a championship side biting at them and eventually crawl over the line, I still think they deserve a lot of credit for that.
Yes, and of course they are still the holders. If Arsenal do go on to defend their FA Cup title and remain second in the league, is that a good season? Is that something that Arsenal fans should be happy with?
Absolutely. I think everybody should drum the fact that they first of all retained the FA Cup, which is not an easy feat in itself, and second of all, played fantastic football over the last couple of months. They are on a winning run, remember, in the Premier League, which I have seen some of their best players perform exceptionally well, so they should see that as a successful season.
And of course, they'll either face Liverpool or Aston Villa, who play in that other semi-final. Let's turn to Spain. Barcelona securing a crucial win against Valencia, who, of course, doing very well in La Liga. They're fourth. They remain 2 points clear because Real Madrid also won. How crucial was that victory for Barcelona? Because they dropped points against Sevilla last week, didn't they?
Yeah, absolutely. If you have a team like Real Madrid breathing down your neck, just 2 points ahead of them, it puts a little bit of pressure on Barcelona. But apart from that, we saw the way they played today. Luis Suarez, who I think is probably the best player in the world, you know,
better than Messi?
Absolutely, because it gives you an attacking impetus, and he's also great defensively as well. If you look at Liverpool, they're suffering not only with goals, but they're suffering with leaking goals. So Barcelona look like the team that will go over the line and win the league, and today's win was exceptionally important.
Let's quickly turn to Real Madrid, because although they did beat Malaga 3-1 to keep the pressure on Barcelona, huge injury news coming there, because we've got Gareth Bale, who limped off after 5 minutes, and also Luka Modric also coming off in the second half. They've got a huge game against Atletico Madrid in the Champions League. With those injuries, do Atletico suddenly start favourites?
Absolutely. Atletico Madrid are probably the second team in Europe that play the way Chelsea does. They don't give away goals easily. And if you lose probably the biggest playmaker in the Real Madrid team in Luka Modric, then you lose a huge part of your attacking game. Atletico, definitely for me, they look like they might be peeping that match.
Yeah, big injury news coming there for Real Madrid. Ade, we're going to have plenty more from you later in the show. Well, still with us is our guest, the sports analyst, Ade Olajide. Ade, let's turn to Formula One. And Lewis Hamilton secured pole at the Bahrain Grand Prix, his fourth consecutive pole of the 2015 season. Sebastian Vettel in second place for Ferrari. Is this evidence that Ferrari is actually bridging the gap, the fact that Rosberg could only finish third? Are Ferrari finally breaking some of that Mercedes dominance?
Absolutely. If you look back 2 years ago, Ferrari last, first of all, were on pole in 2012 and never won any races in the last 1 year or 1.5 years. But now, over the last 3 weeks, the Mercedes team have started to look over their shoulders, not only in qualifying, but in the race in itself, because Ferrari have a strong engine and they're better performers on the soft tyres, which is the better race tyres. So Ferrari have definitely closed the gap.
And how important is it for the sport that Ferrari do indeed really compete and break up this Mercedes dominance? Because some are saying that if Mercedes continues to dominate, the sport might get boring this year.
Absolutely. I like the word you used there, that it is so important that Ferrari break this domination, because now it adds a little bit of competition into the sport. And if you look at someone like Lewis Hamilton now, even though he's on pole for tomorrow's race, he's actually talking down his win because of the fact that he's got a Ferrari right behind him and in between him and his teammate. And the fact that the Mercedes are known not to have a 1 and 2 driver, it makes this race and the competition for the next for the whole season very, very interesting.
It certainly does. Let's turn to cricket. Jimmy Anderson, he's become England's leading wicket taker, overtaking Surin Botham's record. English cricket badly needs heroes like Anderson, because they're pretty thin on the ground, particularly after that dismal World Cup.
Absolutely. And if you look at someone like James Anderson, for somebody that perhaps could have missed the eyes of, you know, the scouts for Lancashire, his first trials at the age of 15, he was refused, and he was actually referred by the mother of his teammate to say, this guy has something that perhaps the other players didn't have. And the first trainer that he had said he didn't look like a world beater at the time. However, he had the skills and the determination to take it to the next level. He's very, very important.
I know it's a very difficult question to answer now. Why is England, they could only draw that test against the West Indies really struggling in Test cricket. Why are England failing to provide the same quality of players as, say, South Africa or Australia or India?
Popularity. It's been raised in the last couple of years that the sport is dwindling in popularity. Yes, I've had a look at some of the matches over the last couple of weeks on cable television. However, I've noticed that the stadium has very few people in there. And the reason for this is because it's left terrestrial TV.
Yeah, English cricket in the doldrums at the moment. Ade, pleasure having you here on the Global Sports Report.